essay after every bigger assignment. And you can see they have to write something, it's in Dutch. And then I'll tell them also, check the rubric, because I believe that students should be able to see how I will be grading and what is important and what's not. And here you see the rubric, and you can see they get only 95 points. Should be 100, that's better, but okay. And you see I have a couple of criteria, so you can create the rubric any way you like. You can also say, I want to have one. This is, as you can see, specific for the second essay, but you can make one rubric and use it again and again. So, and they can, look, vocabulary is always the number one topic in my case, and they can see a longer description, or they can, for instance, questions. We used a couple of different types of questions and I asked them specifically to use those, so they know exactly what they should be doing. Not leaving out the things we just learned because they're too difficult or whatever. So, and sometimes I even have interpunction, but not all the time, because I am not the biggest fan, but sometimes it's useful. And in this case I have originality, that they don't really copy sentences from the book, for instance. But they know exactly what I do. You can also say, I will grade. You can tick a box when you create rubric. I will use this rubric when I grade. So students can exactly see how many points they got for vocab, how many points they... But that's not always useful. But it's useful that they know what are the things we look at when we grade their assignments. If you want to see or to change, I don't want to change anything. So if you go to the left-hand column, on the bottom there is outcomes, right? There's something about outcomes. You can use it in different ways,
Yes.
but you can also use, when you click on that, you see in the right-hand corner, you see manage rubrics. And when you look at my rubrics, I don't have that many in this course, but then I can collect or click on it and change it, except when they say if it's already in use in another assignment, you cannot change it. So that's how it works with rubrics, and I think it's a very cool feature, because it's so easy for students to understand, what are you looking for, what do I need to do? I asked somebody who's teaching a completely different class, and I said, how do you grade your essays? And he said, well, I look at it, and then that's a B and that's a D. I said, how do you know? I just know if it's good or not good. And I think, it's a trickery slow.
Maybe they know, but students don't know.
No, exactly. And especially students who have difficulties learning the language, they should be getting some hints what you have to do. And it makes sense if you take that class, I think, but the student most of the time has no clue. Because they said, what did we learn? And they say, well, okay. So that's assignments and rubrics. Rubrics you can also use with quizzes, but I don't do that often, but not yet anyway. So the tricky part for me the first time, when I made assignments, I thought, where's the rubric? I cannot see it, but you first have to save an assignment, then you can have the rubric. So it took me a couple of, I didn't use the help button, because that's a very good thing. I should have done that immediately. So that's important, assignments and rubrics. And then we have quizzes and question banks. Well, I'm a big fan of question banks. I'm not a big fan of quizzes in general, but it's useful. I have 2 second-year students right now online, and they said, well, it's good. You are forced to think about again the quiz, what you have to learn, especially vocab. And they like it. They said, no, I know I have to do that. So at the end of the chapter, I don't believe in too many graded quizzes, but at the end of the chapter, they'll get a graded quiz, because then we've covered everything, and then it's more about can use everything we learned in that chapter. So you can create a quiz. So click on quizzes. I'm sometimes too impatient. It takes a little bit longer than in mine. So you see, I have assignment quizzes. I have two groups. I have graded quizzes and I have practice quizzes. A lot of them. As you can see, I have way more practice quizzes, and I often divide practice quizzes in vocab quizzes and grammar quizzes or whatever kind. But a graded quiz is everything, so it's vocab and grammar and maybe one or two essay questions, short paragraph questions. So it's not only about do you know the right word for this. So if you go to quizzes, you can click on plus quiz. So if you know the system as certain, you see it's always on the right hand side, plus assignment, plus page, plus quiz. So quizzes, I'll add a quiz. A couple of features of quizzes. I do it a little bit faster with you than I would have done if there would have been more people. You can see again, you need to give it a name, so think about a good name so you know exactly where it has to go. So I'll call it Pietje. Pietje. Because quizzes you can get rid of, questions you can get rid of, but this new course, the Z100, I try to remove it out of the system, and that's not an option. So don't make 10 different practice quizzes, page courses for yourself. Should be done at a certain point. So again, for this, you see settings and question, and you see a blank thing you can fill, so you can write the text, or you can add a picture. I don't do that. I won't do that. Add a picture, or an MP3, or a video, or something you created. Right? So you can give them certain things. Many times I don't use this a lot, but where I look at is this. I select what type of quiz this is. This is, let's say, a practice quiz. I always like to shuffle the answers. I always give them a time limit, and practice quizzes usually takes a student 3-4 minutes to do, so I give them 10 minutes. And I tell them you can do them, allow multiple attempts. In this case, it's no problem. In a graded quiz, I only give them 2 attempts, so then you can fill in 2 here. And then you also can say keep the highest score or keep the latest, so you can really use exactly what you want to see. This is also that students see their quiz responses. In a practice quiz, I don't have a problem there, of course. But if it's a graded quiz, I can say after the latest submission of the quiz or at a certain date, they can see the responses. What I like to tick is this one, show one question at a time and lock questions after answering. There was also a feature in OnCalls that they couldn't go back, right? If they were question 1, 2, 3, 4, and suddenly they realized they made a mistake in question 1, you could go back. In this case, I don't want them to go back. I think then I can use certain vocab also in another question without giving away every time what the answer is. I never do this with restrictions. That might be an option if you have students far away. I don't use this. And just to make it safe, I always, when I have finished the settings, I say, okay, save. Then I don't forget to do that, and then I edit the quiz, and then I'll go to questions. And when you click on questions, you see a couple of things. You can see a new question. There are 3 boxes over there, a new question group, or find questions. what you can just say, okay, I'll add a new question. And now it's again about names. You see question, you can say question 1, but then later, how do you know that this is question 1 of chapter 2 or chapter 12? Or so what I do, I use fill in the blank a lot, because especially Dutch is very easy for most students. So what I do is I call it les 2, so chapter 2. So I give it the name of the chapter, chapter 2. Foca means foca, and then I say FIB, fill in the blank. Because then when I see only the title of the questions, I realize where it is, where it belongs. You could also say, in Dutch it could be a multiple choice. But as I said, I like fill in the blank. And then you can also, of course, then you have to select fill in the blank or fill in multiple blanks. Let's say fill in multiple blanks. As you can see, there are many options, same as in our course. I do fill in the blanks. And then what was it again? You can use as many. I'm not doing it correctly, probably. I have to use square brackets, right? Yep.
So the number, the answer, so it's a number per answer, right?
You mean that I use 1?
So the blank, it has to be a number?
No, you can also use, as what they say, color 1 or color 2, that they know that I have to fill in a color.
Oh,
so here
okay.
roses are color 1. What is color 1 is red. And violets are color 2, that's blue. But I'm not asking such a fancy thing right now. So if you do that, so for colors, for instance, in color 1, color 2, then you can say here, you see, show possible answers for 1. And I think it's only, let's say, red. Possible answer 2, we don't have one. So I click that away. I use the basket or whatever you call it in the end. So possible answer for 1 is red. If you click on this drop down thing, you see possible answers for 2. And that is blue. And I only need 1 possible answer. Right, so and you can go up to how many things. So you can say it's a color, you can say it's a verb. I'm not sure if students will see that completely, so you have to go in as a student and see how that looks, what that looks like as a student. And then I say update question. Right? So another question. So
Yeah, so how do you really answer the
excuse me, what? Yep.
the answer? I'm not seeing it. So
Do you have 1?
I copied the sentence. So color 1. So I click color 1 here and I write it here. And if I want to add color 2, then I just type it here.
Nope.
I have to choose color 2 for the changes.
Okay, and go back to color 1. You have red, and you can delete this because you only have 1.
Okay.
Sometimes you have 2 options, right? But in this case, only 1, so you delete that by clicking on the.
Yeah, but I leave this part.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
you go to color 2.
also it's saved.
Yeah.
And then click
And then that one.
this one.
Exactly, and now you say update answer. So now you have that. So you're following my example more or less.
Yes.
So
makes sense.
what you can do is say show question details, but that only works for a limited amount of questions. If you have 20 questions, they cannot show that all the time. But
Yeah, but I got you. Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. Yeah, good.
so that's
Thank you.
one thing. And you can also say how many points they will get, right? You can also say for this question, because there are 2 answers, they get 2 points. Or so there are many things how you can tweak the question. Here you can see, oh, this is my quiz peak. And it's published, and you can see a preview of your own, but if you only have one question, that's always a good thing, because when you make a quiz, I always do it so fast that I make some mistakes here and there, and I always ask my students to find the mistakes. Now most of them are set because I used them a couple of times, but first time there were some mistakes. So if you go back to quizzes, so you can go on top or you can go to your left column, you see quizzes also. So I have a lot of different quizzes, and as you can see, some of them, this one is not published. That's the midterm, I haven't published that yet, but I have most of the other things. So you can, publishing is one of the trickiest things, because I sometimes publish the assignments, but when you go back, when I go back, I mean, to modules, what I find out this fall, you have modules, and you have this, everything is published, but you forget to publish the module, they cannot see anything. So there are some, you have to learn by mistake probably, but when you're again in quizzes, you see plus quiz, but you see here this also, if you click on that, you see manage question banks. And I'll show you how you can manage question banks. I have question banks, quite a few different ones, vocab, separable verbs. And if I need to make a new quiz, I'll show you this. I'll go back to quizzes. And there are many videos in the help button too. I'll add a quiz. Okay, I skip the settings for now. And when I go here, you can see their question groups. So you can say I want 10 vocab questions and 3 culture questions, 2 different groups, 5 questions from one and 1 from the other. You can also say find questions. In your case, it probably will show up only 1. But I have a lot of question banks, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel and create a new quiz all the time. I just go to, you can see I have chapter 1 vocabulary. I have only 2 questions, so that's not a lot. But here, past tense, I have 26 questions. It's all fill in the blank. And then I say, okay, I like that. I need to give them an achievement test. You know what an achievement test is? That you only test if they know this specific feature of the language. And then you see all the questions I have. And I can say, select all. Or I can make a selection. I say, for instance, I would like this question, that question, only that question. That's normally not the case, but you can select a certain type of questions. And I would say I want to have a new group, and that is group X. And I only want to pick 2, and they get 5 points per question, create group. So I have a new group for a specific new course, and then I say add questions, and there you see automatically they're in that group.
Okay.
So it's a cool feature, but now you notice why it's so important to have a right name, because if you say quiz 1, well, then you have to remember what was quiz 1 about. So that's a little bit tricky. And when you, probably if you go to quizzes, you don't have question banks yet, right? If you have quizzes, click on quizzes, hello. And you go here, so you go to manage question banks. Well, I have quite a few question banks already, but on the bottom you can see I have a lot of question banks. You can see unfiled questions. I make new questions and they're not ready yet, or I didn't put them in the question bank, but I can do it now. I can just say, I click on the unfiled questions. That's a lot, as you can see. I want to say I move multiple questions, I move this to that question bank, so you can recreate and mix and match there. The good thing about quizzes in Canvas is they have question banks, that helps a lot. But also that, imagine you made a quiz and a student already took the quiz and said, I thought it was weird because I think I knew the answer to a question, but it said that I was wrong. And then you go in and you say, oh, I made a mistake. You can correct that in the quiz for the student. There are a couple of things. What do they call it? Let me check what the official name is. You can say, how do I use quiz touch points? So you can tweak it a little bit. Or you can say, how do I regrade a quiz? So you can still, if you made a mistake yourself, and the first time there might easily be a mistake, you can correct that, and you can correct it for the student too, because then he or she cannot complain, I got a lower grade because you made a mistake. So you can even regrade if you made a mistake. You always will get a warning box when you try to change a quiz. They say some students already took this quiz, and you can check who that was, and then you can regrade their quizzes. So that's the good thing about Canvas. Sometimes there's so many options that it's a little bit hard also, but I think that's one of the good things about Canvas. There's, like Word or any program, there are many options how you can change things or add stuff, and especially for online courses. As you can see here, I have ACR speaking on Mondays. I have everything in Canvas. So I also have the word list. I have an online dictionary. I have everything all in Canvas, so they never have to go to this website or that website or that website. They only have to go here. So that's good. You know how to put in things on the left-hand side, you know what I mean? Okay, so
Like, can I create things or just add from a list?
you can create. So for instance, if in Dutch, let's do this. This is a website with a lot of information, and I want to make this. It's a nice one, right? I use this in third year. So I want them to link directly to this website, that they don't have to remember it's entoon.nu. So I'll copy this URL. So if I go back to the home page of the Z100, I want this gone, please. That's a little bit easier. So I have added already a couple of things. So if you go to settings, you see navigation, but we don't need it at this moment. We click on apps, external apps, and then you go until you see that arrow. Oh, sorry, this arrow.
Okay.
And you click on that arrow, and you say add app. That's under it. And when you see a redirect to, I call it N2 so whatever you want your students to be able to recognize it immediately. Then you copy the URL, and what you must not forget, you have to check this box, show in course navigation, and then you add app. And if you then go back to home, or, no, sorry, that was too fast. Now I made a mistake. You can see it here now, but then you can use settings to move it around. So, and I don't need it, so I want to get rid of it immediately. So I use navigation and I just throw it out. So, and then save. So that's a cool feature, especially for online, that you really, that you don't have to go back to an assignment. Where is that URL? It's just in the left-hand side of the canvas. So I'll show you just for you a little bit about Quizlet. You can discuss if Quizlet is part of Canvas, or you can add that also, if it's really a good pedagogical tool. But you can also look at from the other side. You can add stuff, you can do it yourself, but what I use is I use what is available online. So I have nothing to pay for it. It's only $25 a year, so then you can make it yourself and use pictures and so. But I'll show you what I use right now. Which one did I want to show? You can see. Quizlets. Clock. You see, even in the name of the page, I use the word Quizlet. This is Quizlet, and it's about how to learn how to use the clock, the hours. You can see this is, I incorporated in this page, and a student needs to memorize this, needs to learn this. They can learn it in different ways. You see this, choose a study mode, and I can say, okay, I just want to learn it. So 2:30, how do you say that in Dutch? 2:30. And the next one, 7, is, you can hear it here, right? So there's even, they pronounce it. So this is flashcards. As you probably know, that's the worst way to learn a language, but okay, better something than nothing. But you can also say, I want to have a space race. And that's a play, and students like plays. So then you say, okay, what's that? 5 over 100 cents, that is 5 dekkers. My score is 100, I can do this. You can also say, so now this one, I'm not that good, I'll lose that one. You can also say scatter. Scatter is also a game. Here you see everything, and you have to make the right combination. You see 10 over 20, where is that? You drag it up there, and it disappears. 5 over all of off is all there. All of 3 is there. 10 for 11 is still there. I have a record, 31 seconds. So, and that's especially what students like, right? And they can even brag, I only did it in so many things. So you can use that. It's also in settings under apps, Quizlet, and then you locate on the web. I just said something like the clock in Dutch, and then I could incorporate this for free here. What you can do is, no score, okay, great first start. I cannot do it faster, I believe. But what you also can do, you only saw numbers and letters, you can also put in pictures, and then the sound is very good, I think, that you can listen, how do you pronounce it, that's very interesting. So there are many ways how you can use that. It's not, as I said again, the best pedagogical tool, but any minute students like to work with this, why not, right? So there are even things on Quizlet for culture classes. So you see a painting and a description, which painting and which description belong together. So that's the good thing of Quizlet. You can make it small. These are quite a few items. Online there are also shorter items with only 5 different flashcards. And as I said, the biggest advantage is that students like to do that. Because they need to memorize things like this anyway. Well, why don't you do it like this? And they still love flashcards. Students do anyway. So, anything else I can help you with?
No, I think now I know how to create plans on the net. And
So you have always to remember to save frequently. That's very important.
that's
And
good because in Oncourse you could not always save. And
yeah,
I lost my work a couple
and
times.
and that's horrible. I know.
Especially.
Yeah, and that's the same. I don't know if you know Adobe Connect. I use that for speaking, and you have all kinds of layouts. If you say, okay, get rid of this layout, there's not an undo or redo button, so then it's gone. That's the same, yeah. But in Canvas, they say if you really want to make an officially a very good online site, if you use Pages, what you can see in Pages, you can also use what do you call it? Tables, tabellen, tables.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Wrong pronunciation. They say officially that I heard that say before. Don't use those tables because if, for instance, another student who might be willing to take an online class is somebody who is disabled maybe a little bit by their eyes, so they should be able to take that, and then you can add a feature that they can read whatever they see, right? And if you use a table, then probably they say table 1 point, how many spaces. So they say that's not the best feature at the moment, but actually I use it sometimes because it's a nicer picture and the text next to it, right? And not under it. But so names are important, and then just put it in. I would recommend by chapter or by week. I personally like by week because it's very clear, you know, also, okay, next week is midterm week because it will be week 8. So, and you can do anything, and especially all the audio and video and websites you can upload, and even what you want them to do, also in assignments that you don't have to write out what they need to do, but that you can say, discuss what you, or tell me about what you've done last weekend, and they can submit that. That can be a little bit tricky, but it should be fine. So that's a good thing about. And as soon as you have all the little mistakes out, then actually it's less work than maybe a regular class. Initially it's more work because you have to think about everything. How do I organize it so students can easily use the website or Canvas site? Because all the students, they can do everything on their cell phones and Facebook and everything. They don't want to do too much on homework or things they need for the university. So the easier and the maybe the simpler your system is, the better it is. Then I always know, okay, I have to look here for the homework, I have to do that every week, and I know where to look to prepare for class and for speaking. So that's the whole thing, you have to be very organized. But yeah, so will there be maybe a Spanish online course for beginners?
Not here, at Ivy Tech. I know they have completely online courses, and I'm applying for jobs for next semester, so I'm hoping to
especially for a language, I think speaking is an important part, so that there have to be a speaking component. That's sometimes the hardest, but I really do everything from vocab, even Quizlet or grammar. I do that all. That the students have to do that, and they can quiz themselves and see how far they are actually. And then speaking, So I meet them once a week for 45 minutes, and it's only speaking, please. So I give them assignments from the book, and I'm not supposed to speak, of course, because I always say I already speak Dutch, so I don't have to prove it. But they have to be able to speak more. And if you think of 45 minutes of speaking time with maybe a small group, I would say no more than 8, and still they get lots of attention. Yeah. And in Adobe Connect, that's what I'll discuss also the next time. It's also very easy. Do you know Adobe Connect?
That's the one that's used for IT training, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and also another course online that was in Spain, and I was there. I think they used Adobe Connect as well.
Okay.
Or something similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to use it.
Adobe Connect is quite easy. I think if you know Canvas and how to use that, then it's not a big problem. The good thing about Adobe Connect over Skype, because many people think that you have to use Skype, Adobe Connect you can also make notes, and they can see that, and you can show videos if you like.
You can show your screen, right?
Yeah, and you can put students in groups in breakout rooms. So you can say, you two go to that room. Well, you do that manually, and you talk about this. So you put them in separate rooms, and then they can talk to each other. So only two, and then you as an instructor can go and listen into all those groups. So that's a very good tool too. So in a way, I think especially speaking is not the biggest problem anymore. I mean, technology nowadays is
it's
no
to
problem.
be face to face, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Technology.
Yeah. So, okay, sorry that you were by yourself.
No, it's better. Very personalized learning.